Well, hello. My name is Adrian. I'm a developer advocate for Courier. Courier. I love to hear all the different ways people say it. So, but we actually, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that first before we get into the workshop. So let's get into it. If I can go to the right screen. So Courier enables developers to manage their user notifications across every channel. So you can see all the different channels we got there. Some of them are probably familiar to you. And we want to talk about the Courier approach. And so that's all of your channels. We've got Discord down in the corner. We've got Slack. We've got some different email ones, some SMS. And what we want to do is make it to where you can send these very easily and make them look very nice with some no-code templating. So on the right here, we've got our no-code editor, which is very drag and drop. You can put together a notification very quickly and make it look really nice. You can do templating with variables, add buttons, lots of different things. And then on the left here, we've got the same thing, but written in HTML. And if any of you have had to put together an email, it's the HTML is like the best HTML that like 1994 had to offer. So there's not really been a lot of improvements in email HTML over the years. So what we like to do is give you this nice user interface, and we abstract all that away for you. And then also we just went over the email channel, but we also have different channels. So you can kind of see there's like a Slack message there in the background, there's a text message, but we have different channel frames and different editors for all of your different channels. And we're going to be looking at least two of them today during this workshop. So we'll be building out an email along with an SMS. And then if we have some time and y'all are interested, we'll take a look at what Discord would look like as well. So Discord has been pretty popular with the hackathons, using those in people's projects. And then what is also neat is now that we have all of these different channels that we can send to, Courier will help you figure out how to send to the best channel for the recipient that you're sending them to. So we have very powerful rules where we can say always send the email. We can send to the best of these channels. I like to use kind of the Delta Airlines example for how to explain this. So if you have ever flown with Delta or your airlines and you have had a gate change, I know in my experience, I have received a text message, an email, a push notification to the app, and sometimes they even call me on the phone. And so with Courier, you could set this up to say, hey, if we have a push token for them, then that's really the best way to send this information. Send it to their app. And then there's different things you can do whenever you launch the app and things like that. But if we don't have a push token, but we have their phone number, let's try to send them a text message, because a text message performs a little better than an email. And then at the end, you can say, if we don't have anything else, we're going to have their email because they have signed up or they've purchased a ticket where we've required them to give us their email. So let's send them the email as a last resort. But there's lots of other different things you can build in with conditionals and things like that. Hey, Micah and Tejas, we have in the chat. They are some of my teams at Courier. And then what's great is all of this can be accomplished with one line of code, and we'll see that coming up, but it's one line of code to send to any of your channels and to get any of these rules and everything done. So that's very powerful. If you're wanting to do multiple channels in your application, you don't have to learn the Twilio API and then learn the SendGrid API and then learn the, give me 1 second. Okay, it's interesting that do not disturb did not do anything there. So give me 1 second. Right, so we don't have to learn how to use the different APIs. And then what's even better is you don't have to program how those different APIs are going to interact with each other. So Courier is going to take care of all of that for you. All right. And then what's really cool is we have some very detailed logs and metrics. So whenever you send a message to Courier, you can see exactly what you sent. It's really great for troubleshooting. If you sent over things wrong, we have details about why your notification went to the specific channel, and we'll be looking at that whenever we actually get into the product here. But I do want to take some time and tell you about our challenge. So we do have a best use of Courier challenge where the winning team, we're going to have a $100 Amazon gift card for each team member. And that is because we are a US company that will be in US dollars. So in Canadian money, it's going to be a little bit more. But we're also giving the team $60,000 in Courier credits, so you can continue using Courier on your projects. We really hope that whatever you build during this weekend, you're going to continue to work on, and we want to be there with you as you grow. So maybe you have the next great app, and we want to support you. So we are giving you $60,000 in Courier credits to make sure that you can continue using Courier. And then the last thing, which is kind of exciting, you will be invited to a free virtual lunch with our CEO, Troy Good. You're going to meet Troy this weekend. He's going to be giving the opening message for Courier during the opening remarks. Really fun guy. You know, maybe you can even talk him into playing a round of Among Us or another fun game online. But we will cover the cost to have your food delivered to you. And you'll have some kind of virtual call with Troy. So very cool. Yeah. All right. We'll have to invite him to our DJ session. Yeah, do it. So let's get into it. We're going to do sending notifications based on a form submission. So what we want to do is we're going to look at a contact form, and I have this all set up for us, and we can use Netlify to deploy our own version of it. But I'm using a Netlify form, which is just a really fancy way of taking a form that might be on like a Jamstack application. So if you wrote it using Gatsby or just plain HTML and JavaScript, and you want to handle that form submission, Netlify has a really cool way of doing that. And then what we can do is use one of their triggered functions to grab the values from that submission and send that on to Courier. And so we're going to build inside Courier ways to handle sending that form data on to someone via email or SMS. And so I have a little demo queued up, and it worked earlier. So fingers crossed the demo gods are going to smile on us. But here's our form. So this is Treva. Treva is one of our fake companies. Oh, wait, let's stop. I don't want anybody behind. So I don't get it. What's the purpose of designing notifications? Yeah, so your app could have a number of notifications. So maybe there is a notification that gets sent out if somebody forgot their password, and so they need to get that as an email with the link to reset their password. There could be a notification that your order has been processed, right? So think of all the different transactional messages that your application could send, and Courier will help you send those across the right channel. So if the person is online on the website, a push notification or an in-app toast notification is good enough. If they're not online when the order processes, maybe we need to send that to a different channel. Maybe your site has an application, so maybe we want to do a mobile push. Maybe if it doesn't have an application, maybe we need to send it to email, or maybe it's something that we can send to text, or we could do something where we send a text message with some basic information about the order processing, and then also send an email with more detailed information. So think of like a receipt going out. Does that help clear things up? Awesome. And take a look and see what all of these. I'm getting text messages, and it looks like people have found the form. So I'm getting some submissions, but so it is working. That's good to know. And it's just a simple form. This is just HTML and JavaScript. To handle the submit, I can put in my name. I can put in my demo email. And I can select my role. This is actually a multiple select, so maybe I'm a traveler, and maybe I'm something else. So I'll click both of those, and then I'll just say, hello, TOHacks. It's Hype Week. How are y'all liking Hype Week? This is like the first one that I've participated in, and I think this is a really cool idea to get you started for the weekend. Okay, so I typed in my form. I'm going to hit send. Form submitted successfully. And I think I have this, I did not have it set up to where I could show you. Yeah, I just got it on my phone. I meant to have it set up to send it to my email. So let's do that really quick. Let me go back into Courier. We're jumping ahead, but I want to be able to show you the email. So if I go into the designer, and let's click on workshops. So here's our demo. And right now it's sending to the best of these channels, but I want email to take precedence. So we'll publish those changes, and then I'll go back over here. Let's fill this out again. It is quite hype. Nice. All right, and so I said traveler and something else and hi. TOHacks. So we're going to hit send. So the form was submitted. And if I go over here, oh, we're already starting to get, so this is, yeah, so here's the one that I did. So here's my message, hi TOHacks. Here's the roles that I selected. So this is a very simple message. And you can see that we're using some substitution values, repeaters. I got a link here that will go, it basically goes back to this form. So you can fill it out again, I guess. But we've got other people putting it in, other ambassador to Sweden, or at least IKEA. Nice. I enjoy your meatballs. Okay, so that's the demo. That's what we're going to be putting together. And at the end of this workshop, you'll be walking away with your own version of it. So you'll be able to decide what the messages look like, what messages you want to take. I'm going to walk you through setting up Twilio and SendGrid, and we're going to provide some credentials for the workshop. Those won't last forever, but we want you to be able to get started. And then our mentors that are going to be hanging out this weekend can help you set up your own Twilio and SendGrid accounts if you want to use them. But we also have some resources that will walk you through it as well. So let's go back over to, I think, the slides. Hello. I've lost the slides. Is it? Okay, I'm supposed to be able to swipe. Ah, okay. I must have closed the window. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. This is desktop 1, desktop 2. Where did you go? Spaces are really great until they don't work anymore. Let me pull this back up. Okay. You come back down here and we'll present. There we go. All right, so that was our overview. And so now we're going to have some fun doing it ourselves. So the first thing we need to do is sign up for Courier. Did anybody happen to sign up for Courier ahead of time? Yes. All right, so we have some. What we want to do is let's take some time right now. And if you haven't done it, whoops, let's go to this URL here, which is https://courier.com/TOHacks, and sign up for Courier and go through the onboarding flow. It's kind of fun. It's new. We'll be interested to hear what you think about it. But that will get you started with Courier. And then as soon as you are ready, you're through that sign up flow, if you want to like put an emoji into the chat. So the first person to be done, throw an emoji in the chat, and then everybody follows suit. That's kind of been a fun way for us to keep track of everybody and make sure we're on pace. We got a pretzel, and then we've got weeping. That's not good. It was my most used. Oh. Well, we're going to turn that around this weekend. Great. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the next part, but please feel free to continue going through that onboarding, signing up, and then we're gonna talk about adding some integrations. And I'm on the wrong screen. Okay, there we go. So now that we have our shiny new free Courier account, and I should mention this is a free account. It's a developer account. It's going to be free for the life of the account, and it's going to give you access to 10,000 messages a month. So if you're sending messages like Discord messages, push notifications, in-app, that's all contained inside that 10,000 a month. Now, if you're wanting to do something like send to SMS or email, that's going to involve having a third-party provider like Twilio and SendGrid, and there is a cost associated with those. So there is that cost on top of what Courier has. But it's a hackathon, and I'm pretty sure that there's a nice free tier for everything right now. Cool. So for those of you who are ready, and we'll help the rest of you catch up, let's go ahead and set up SendGrid. So if you go inside Courier, it's like, is there anything? This is just a pretty screen. So let me go into mine. See, this is what I did before. I should be able to swipe back. All right. Somebody watch that and make sure we don't lose it. Okay, so I'm inside my Courier, and I'm going to click on integrations here. And mine is up here because it's already been installed, but you'll want to go down to the integration catalog and find SendGrid. So it's going to look like this. It says Twilio SendGrid. It's blue. And we're going to go to the configuration screen. And we need to set these two values. So I'm going to be pasting the API key for us to use into the chat. But for the from address, let's put in devrel@courier.com. So let me get you that key. It's a big, long, ugly string. And so in the top part for the API key, you can add that value and then add the from address of devrel@courier.com. For now, we can ignore the test configuration. Courier has environments. So you can actually have your Courier tenant set up to have test and production environments. But for this workshop, we're just going to work in production because we live dangerously. And once you have that set up, give me an emoji in the chat. Where do we get the API key? Yeah, so there's for the workshop, we're going to use the one that I pasted into the chat. So it's that sg.b6kh, etc. I see what it is. I got switched. Let me paste this again. I somehow sent it only to panelists. There we go. Now you should see it. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. And when you're done, you can click the button down here. Mine says save because I've already installed it, but yours should say install. I miss the days of teaching workshops in front of people so I could see faces and gauge how things are working. All right, we've got T-bone. And a brain, okay? Very meaty. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to Twilio, which if we go, the second thing we're going to do is set up Twilio. So this is how we're going to send text messages. And just like with SendGrid, we're going to use a shared account for this workshop. So that way we don't have to stop and wait for everybody to sign up for Twilio and pick your phone number, etc. But there will be links to our documentation that will help you set this up with your own account later. So we're going to go back to this integrations section, into the integrations catalog. You're going to look for the classic red Twilio. Mine is up here because it's already installed, but you'll find yours in the integration catalog. And when you click on it, it's going to look something like this. And I am going to give you some information that you will need. So we need an account SID, we need an auth token, and then we need a messaging service SID. And so I'm going to give you all of that. And we'll see if the chat messes with my spacing. Yes, it did. Okay. Right. All right, I'm going to paste these one at a time. So here is your account SID. Here is your auth token. And here is your messaging service SID. And just like with SendGrid, whenever you have that all entered in, you can go down to the bottom. It copies a different thing. Oh, that's not good. Let's see. How can we do this? Oh, okay. Oh, did you have problems with the SendGrid key? Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. The last time I did this workshop, it was over Zoom, but it wasn't over a Zoom webinar. Got it. Were you able to get it to put it into into the Discord, or do I need to send it somewhere? Okay. Where would you like me to put it in the Discord? What's the best place?
Perhaps you can put it in the sponsor.
Okay, in our channel? Okay, cool. All right, so I'm just going to copy this whole section here. And so if you go over into our Discord, is that going to, well, let's see if this formats properly. Not the greatest, but okay, so it's in there. All right. How's that all for you? Great. So I'll give you a couple minutes to enter these values. So if you need help going back to SendGrid, let me know. That one is just the API key and the from address. And for Twilio, it's the account SID, the auth token, and the messaging service SID. That's really going to be the bulk of the copying and pasting that we're going to do. I'll have a test event here for you later, but all right. Thanks. All right, cool. Is it okay to move forward? How are we feeling? Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a recipient. And so this is going to be how Courier knows who you are and how to send to you. So we're going to use a profile creator tool. I didn't update the typo. Great. To create a profile that will allow you to send using SendGrid and Twilio that you just set up. So we're looking at this little tool that I made, and this thing is in the way. Stop. Oh, go away. Oh my gosh. All right. All right, so this is the profile-inator, and if you get the reference, good for you. So what this is going to do is it's going to help us create our Courier profile. And so there's the link, so you can go to it. We're going to need your Courier auth token. And so inside of your Courier instance, we can grab that by going to settings, over to API keys. And then we're looking for the production keys, the published one. And so we can copy that and go stick it in right here. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to come up with a recipient ID. Now this is a unique string that's going to represent you. When I do it for all of my demos, I like to, where is settings again? Sure. So if you go over to the left bar, down to the bottom, there is this gear, and that's our settings. And then if you click on API keys, you'll see this screen, and you'll want this production key published. I wish you would go away. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Want to make sure everybody is able to follow along. Yeah, so the profile-inator is a little tool, a little web tool that I created, and I pasted the link into the chat. So I think you're able to click on the link, and so it is a separate web page, and yeah, you can open it, and it looks like this. Yeah. And so we want to come up with a recipient ID. This can be any unique string to represent you. When I do it, I like to do my first name in all caps, and then I add my zip code. So in all of my demos, I'm Aydrian 10036 because I'm located in New York. Hello. And then what we want to do is we want to put in the information for fill in the rest of the information. So what email you want these messages to go to. And so I'm just going to put in adrian.demo@gmail.com. And you can see it's building our profile as we fill this out. And then you can put in a phone number. So I'm just going to make up a phone number. That's not my real phone number. But we can put a phone number in there. And now we have constructed what Courier needs as part of your profile. And so because we have your Courier auth token, you can just hit this save profile button, and that will save that into Courier and attach it to this recipient ID that we're going to use here. So whatever you decide to use as your recipient ID, just like copy that to the side so we can reference it again. We're about to get into the fun part where we actually start building these. How are we feeling? Great, awesome. Okay, so we've got our profile. And what's neat is if you go back into Courier and you go into data, you can click on recipients. I'm not, because it's probably going to show my phone number, but you'll actually see the profile that you created in that list. So that's how you'll know that it's working. So we'll go back over to the slides. Am I going too fast? How's everybody keeping up? Okay. So the time has come. It's time to build our notification. It's time to have some fun with this drag and drop editor. So we're going to create a notification that uses both the SendGrid and Twilio providers. We're going to create a test event so we can do some previews and see what it looks like. And then we'll map the notification to this netlify_form_contact event. All right. So back in Courier, we can click on the designer. And then we can create a notification. So I'm just going to create a new notification, and I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call this Netlify form submission. Just like that. And then from here, I can start adding my channels, my notification channels. So I want to add email. And whenever you select it, I have multiple email providers set up. So it's asking me to check. You should see an option for SendGrid in yours. So I'm adding that, and you notice that over here in our channels, we've got an email channel. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on SMS, and it's selected Twilio for me. And then you can see that it's also set up over here. So now I can go over and click on email and start filling it out. So let's start by adding a subject. So we can say this is a new form submission from, and what I want to do is use a variable. So to do that, we can just surround that in curly braces. We'll do name. And now we have a customized subject line. And now we can start adding blocks. So this is a visual editor. We have different blocks you can add, text block, image block. We've got an action block, which adds a button, a divider. So if you want like a horizontal roll, we've got a quote block. We've got markdown block. And then we have this fun template block, which takes HTML with handlebars. So you can do a number of different things. So let's start. I'm going to actually, let's take a look at the one that I did here. Whoop. So we got new message from name. I did that. We can use name, submitted. So lots of things we can do in here. Let's add the message. So we'll go back over here, and I'm going to add a quote block for that. And I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to replace all this with a variable, and that variable is message. And then what I want to do is I want to show you how to preview this. So I am going to go to preview. And then what preview allows us to do is create test events that can be merged in, and then we can actually see how this renders. So I'm going to click create a new test event. And I've got one here. I can find it. So this is just JSON that I'll replace. And we'll just say, we'll call this workshop test. And then I'm going to put this test event in the Discord so y'all can copy it. So this is the event. Cool. And so if you're following along, you can copy and paste that in. You should see a green check mark saying that there's valid JSON. You can give it a little test name and then hit create test event. And so with just the little that we've done, we can see what the email is going to look like. So here's new form submission from Peter Parker. And the message that he entered was, I need to reschedule my flight from Venice to Prague. It's the Far From Home reference. So if we look at our test event, these are all the variables that we are going to have available to us, because when the form was submitted, it sent this information along with Courier. And so we've got the name, we've got the email, we've got the role. These were all put inside of the form, the message, and then we got some extra information that Netlify provided. So we've got the IP address of the person who submitted, the user agent, the referrer. So that is the address for the form. So we can do some fun things like let's add a link. So let's use a little bit more of this. So if we go back over to our design, we can say, what do we got? Name submitted the following message using the contact form. So I can just add another block. Oh, I've added a couple of blocks. So name submitted the following message using this contact form. And then I can highlight contact form and make it a link. And then for the URL, I can just say refer and use that variable. And what else do we got here? Okay, and so if we did a preview, Peter Parker submitted the following message using this contact form, and it's hard to see, but if we hover over, I think if we click, yeah, there we go. Link clicked, it actually goes to this URL. Pretty cool. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to drag this above. Then we can continue on. We got names, roles. So what we want to do is we want to print out all of those roles that were selected. And if we go back and take a look at our test data, we can see that this comes over as an array of strings. Cool. So first, let's go back to design. And I'm just going to copy this from here. Well, I can. Okay, I'll paste that in, and I made it bold. So if you highlight it, you can make it bold. You can change the color. Maybe I want to change the color. Let's do red. Or I think I highlighted it. Let's see. Nope, I think I just didn't select it. Oh, I didn't hit apply. That's what it is. Okay, there we go. Let's highlight it. That looks cool. And now to display those roles, we can put in a list block. And so I'm just going to add a simple list block. And then we can configure it. We give it the path. So that is the JSON path of where this is. So we're looking for the role. Did it? Okay. Oh, wait, no, we're in the design. So I'm going to say role here. And then we can do an @ just to show the string. And so we got the roles that came in. Just to kind of show you how I put together the other one. You can have whatever fun you want, adding blocks, using variables, different things like that. But what we want to do now is, let's say that this is the email that we want, and now we want to add the SMS. Well, we can easily use what we've already created in the email in the SMS because they all show up here in this shared library. So whatever components you use on one channel shows up for the other one. So we can just say, all right, let's, so we got, name submitted the following message. Here's the message, and then let's list out these roles. And we're done. We've created a text message. And so we could preview this. And because it's a text message, it's just going to show up as text, but this kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like whenever it comes across. Pretty neat. And then finally, if we want to try sending this, you can use our wonderful send tab, which don't forget to hit publish changes. I'm really bad about that. So publish your changes, because we do have the concept of a draft notification versus a publish notification. You can come over here and you can put in your recipient ID that we created earlier. And you can select the test event, and then you can just hit send. And so that should send you an email. And if you want to try out sending the text message, you can go back over here and you can drag the text message above, publish, and go back. So that was kind of like a whirlwind of how to do it. How's everybody feeling? Is it cool? Is it interesting? Yes. Okay, great. So the last thing we want to do is we want to map this notification to an event. So that way, whenever the API says send the notification for Netlify form contact, then it will send. And so what we're going to want to do is go into the notification settings. So right in here, and we go into settings, and we go to events, and you're going to want to enter in the, I'm going to say contact to, because I already have a contact created, but you would do Netlify _form _ contact, and that would be all set up. So I'll give you more time to like play around with this, ask me questions, but we have one last thing to do. We're going to deploy our Netlify form. And so we're going to tie all this together. So that way you can start filling out the form, you can send it to your friends to have them fill out the form, and you can start getting all kinds of notifications. But I really want to tie this all together so you're leaving with a full application that you can kind of start playing with and get ideas about how you want to use Courier in your project, so you can win this really cool prize that we're giving out.
Adrian?
Yes.
Someone just asked, could you run through the path again? I got lost there.
So yeah, sure. Whoop. Okay, let's go back over here. So the path, yeah. So we use a concept that's kind of widely used called JSON path to get access to information inside of the data payload. So let me go back. Oh, I keep hitting on the wrong button. Okay, so if we look at our JSON, the path is going to be whatever is inside of data. Now we have access to things outside of data, and we can do that by doing like profile dot. But if you just do if you just put in name as the path or the variable name, it's going to know to look inside data first, because that's mostly where the data is that's coming to fill in these values. So we're trying to do a little shortcut for you. And so the path that we want is we want the array Cool. Okay, so if you got the email, but you didn't get the SMS notification, that's because what happens is we are looking at the best of channel. And so you can kind of think of that as a priority queue. So it was able to send you the email, and so it stopped. Now, if you want it to be able to send you an SMS, you can drag SMS above email and then publish the changes and send again. And then what that's going to do is it's going to try to send the SMS. And if it can, it's going to send it and stop. And just a moment, and I'll show you how you could actually get it to send to both. But with the path, what we want to do is we want to find this array of strings, and that is the role. So in the value for the path here in the designer, and I'm going to go back to the email. So this is our list block. And so for the path, I just set it as role, because that is how we programmatically get to that array of roles. Now, another way I could do it is I could say like $.data.role, and that would be the fully qualified JSON path. But because role is inside data, we can just put role. And then to get the individual strings to print out, we can use this @ sign. So we create a variable that references @. And @ basically means this. So if you think of an iterator going through the array, the @ sign is each value that is being iterated over. Does that help? If you're still having problems, please let me know. You can also reach out to us in the Discord as well. We're happy to walk you through anything. But to the question about being able to send both an SMS and an email, we can do that. So let's say we're in a situation where we always want to get an email and we want to send to the best of the other channels. So we can actually go into the channel settings here. So individual channel settings. And if you scroll down in these general settings, we've got always send to, best of versus always. And so if we switch this over and close, we can see that email now moved up to the top. And so if we were to publish these changes and then do a send, you would always get the email. And then it would say, do we have a phone number? Can we send an SMS? Well, then let's do it. But you could also do something like, let's add a channel. And I mentioned Discord. So if you happen to have Discord set up, you could add that as a channel. And then you could put that above. So because Discord is free to send to, you would probably want to send to Discord over SMS. So, but for like maybe receipt reasons, you also want them to have something more permanent like an email. So with this setup, it would always send the email, and then it would send to the best of these channels, first trying Discord. So if you had their Discord user ID in their profile, it would send to Discord and then stop. And then the user would end up with an email and a message in Discord. And these messages don't have to be the same. So you could make the email message like way more complicated. Yeah. So that's Tejas in the chat. He's one of ours, and he's going to be here all weekend helping you out. And then there's also like other things you could do where if we look inside these channel settings, there's conditions, and you could actually pass over information. So if you pass more information over into the data, you could say property, or let's say profile. So you can write more information to the profile. So you could say profile dot member type. So let's say you pass over member type, and we're going to call it elite. So if the member type is elite, we will, so if let's say not equal, yeah, we'll hide it when the member type is not elite. So what this will do is it will try to send Discord. If you have the user ID, but they're not an elite member, it will skip over this. So it's just one of the different things. And these conditionals are a lot of different places. There's just a lot of power in play with. How can you leverage this for the hackathon? Sure. So I don't know what it is that you're going to be working on, but most applications need to communicate with your user. So you can think of, if you think of like any of the ways that your application is going to communicate with your user. We had a project that was kind of like speed dating for friends, and it used Discord. And so whenever two friends were matched, it would use Courier to send out a message. And so what it was able to do was alert them if they were on Discord, but if they weren't, it would send them an email. So that way they would know to come back to Discord. Yeah, we will be, the plan is to disable those API keys. They're mainly used so you can play around with it during the workshop. Both Twilio and SendGrid have free versions where you can create your own. And I do have, I have documents that kind of show you how to get set up with them using Courier and those. But we can also help you create your own. Yeah, let's see, looking at the time, let's quickly go to where where we can deploy our Netlify form. And do I have this somewhere copyable? Yeah. Whoa. Oh, okay. I was like, let me just copy it. Copy URL link. All right. And so I'm going to paste this in here. And if you go to this website or this repo, you're going to see, so this is all of the code to make that form work. And if you click on this deploy to Netlify button, it's going to prompt you for your GitHub credentials. And it's going to present you with a form that looks like this. And what we want to do is we want to fill in your Courier auth token and the recipient ID. Those are the only two that you need to make this work. And so what this is going to do is it's going to clone the repo and deploy it to Netlify. And you're going to get a Netlify URL. And if you go to that URL, it should be all hooked up into your Courier and you can start playing around with it. And then I do have a list of resources, and I can put a copy of the slides in our sponsor channel. So that way you can kind of come back to them. Feel like we went through a lot. I think we have 5 minutes left. Are there any other questions, anything you'd like me to go through? And then of course you can reach out to us in the channel for any questions. And this really, this really kind of scratches the surface. Please talk to us. We have a lot of other features. So we have an in-app provider. So if you are wanting to create toast notifications, we have components to help you out with that. We have something called automations, which will allow you to set up scheduled messages. You can set up different steps to execute. Maybe you want to send a message and then wait 3 days and then send another message with the ability to cancel that message. You might want to say, send out a message that digests information. So you can have it send a message, but reach out to a webhook URL and pull back more data that can be used inside the making of the message. Lots of different fun things that you can do.